Daragh Knox, welcome to the Impressive Podcast.
Thank you, James.
Evening.
Nice to see you again. Very well, and you?
So, a bannerman in Cork.
Yeah.
What brought you down here?
I was working for here for a while, just before COVID, and then COVID came, and then I kind of got used to the place. So I'm here now with nearly 4.5 years in Courses Parish.
Courses Parish.
Yeah.
So, bannerman, would you shout for the banner, but you also shout for the Rebels? Or you shout for Courses?
I shout for Courses.
Who are a Rebels club?
I'm a member of Courses. I'm also a member of the club at home, and I'm a member of Shannon Rovers in Tipperary. So I have memberships in a few clubs. But I enjoy to watch Courses. They're very competitive since I've been watching them, and they've got to a few finals, and it's always enjoyable to watch them. So it's great. The championship is over and the club kicks in then.
Big time, yeah. Because you also, living here now, you have a connection with the community and down to the pub, you know the people involved.
Yeah. Yeah, and I enjoy it. I love to watch hurling, and I mean, even for last weekend now, we had Clare and Cork. It was great for me because, you know, to travel up to Ennis is a long journey to watch Clare or Croke Park or Thurles, because I go to as many matches as I can, and to be able to go in, you know, into Páirc Uí Chaoimh, park up, and then come back the road and be home at a reasonable hour and be fresh enough. You know, I really enjoyed that. So yeah, but you know, if there's matches on, I like to go to them, and especially if I'm a member of the club, then you can cheer on the club, you know.
100%, yeah. And just a question that came to mind there is would you rather watch Cork and Clare in Páirc Uí Chaoimh or watch Cork and Clare in
Ennis, in Cusack Park in Ennis?
Park, yeah.
I watched Cork and Clare. I drove up last year for Cork and Clare in Ennis. Clare won that by a point in the last few minutes. Ennis is a very, very homely pitch. It's got a capacity of about 14,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's at a different. It's kind of a different level. Páirc Uí Chaoimh is the big time. You know, there's 50,000 people there. So each of them have their own charms, and I've seen Clare win in Ennis a lot. Very, very rarely seen Clare win in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Very, very. I think it was 97. We beat Tip in the Munster final. That I think, is the last time Clare may have won in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah.
So they don't come around often. Both pitches are fantastic. The surface looks just great. The facilities are super. So, and it's great to have that standard at hurling matches now. You know, you can really enjoy getting into the stadium, getting your seat or standing in the terraces. It's just a much better experience than it used to be.
Big time. So you're saying, even outside of the game of hurling, the standards are rising as well. Because even the game itself the standards are improving so much.
They really are.
Year on year.
The fitness of the players is something else. I was watching the Camogie match. I was very fortunate to have seen the Cork Camogie players play 2 games. I saw them at the All-Ireland semi-final stage last year. Clare were beaten by Kilkenny that day. But the girls were playing, the Camogies, and right down in front of me, Saoirse McCarthy. Brilliant. Cork played great that day. I can't remember. I think they may have pulled off a victory that day. But again, on Sunday, I went in, and Clare and Cork were playing the Camogie. So I caught the second half of that. And very, very good game of hurling. Very good game of hurling. Cork were well ahead, but I thought it was a very competitive match. And very, very enjoyable to watch it. Great. It's great. So you're getting now, we used to have a time when it was a minor match and a senior match.
Oh, yes.
Now you're seeing Camogie played at a very, very high standard as well. So it kind of adds to the day out too, you know.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're saying, like you said there, that the Camogie doesn't get as much spotlight, you say. You know, and even Camogie, the level is rising so much, isn't it? And it's actually, you found those games very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, so the women deserve to get more recognition on TV, more time on TV,
They do, and it's not only that, James, in my opinion. If you're hanging around the stadium beforehand, you see these groups of girls coming along in the county colours. You know, like girls your age, that kind of thing, and having the crack and the going. That used to be the case. You know, there's a lot more girls going to the matches now and enjoying it. In fact, I've friends above in Clare and we're in a WhatsApp group, and 2 of them are women, and they are stone crazy about the game. They're mad about it, you know. So everyone is getting involved now, and it's a lot more fun that way.
Yeah.
Because there's, I suppose, there's more involvement, more variety. Great crack.
I think that's definitely a good term to describe it. Great crack. And what's Daragh Knox business and leadership coaching and mentoring?
That's a business that I set up 2.5 years ago, and I had spent almost 30 years in industry. I'd worked for large corporations and small Irish companies, and I set out to set up my own business, and I wanted to use some of the experiences and skills that I had to bring a service offering into the market. It was effectively career coaching. I have leadership in there, leadership in business coaching and mentoring, because an awful lot of what we do, in my opinion, is about taking responsibility. And I set about getting some accreditation for myself, and as part of setting up the business as a nearly 52-year-old man now, I had to go down the alleyway of learning about social media, which I know you were very, very adept at, James, but I wasn't.
New ball game for you.
New ball game, and then marketing and all of those things. And I was fortunate that I knew a lot of people, and that I'd always stayed friendly with people and stayed in contact with them. And that allowed me to develop the business. And now, after 2.5 years of...
2.5 years now?
Yeah, of being dedicated. It took me a while to set it up, to get the accreditation in place, to start to bring on clients. And often when I was doing it too, and a lot of people can find that you're doing a lot of pro bono work, you know, just to get your name out there, to get part of that community of people that can make a contribution as business owners, and then it starts to grow for me. So leadership in business is about taking responsibility for yourself. So I have a lot of clients now that are, I should say this, that the business diversified in a number of ways that were unexpected.
Really?
But at the core of the business is coaching. And the majority of the people that I work with are at some stage of the career where they're looking for a little bit of clarity. So at some level I work with people who are going for promotions. So they're interested in developing their leadership traits. So they're stepping up in the organisation and taking on more responsibility. That word again, responsibility. How do I effectively manage responsibility, not just for those that I will lead, but for myself? Then for others to get into the stage of their career where they're in a career and they say, no, hang on, why am I doing this again? And then they get a bit confused. And the business developed in other ways then. As my online presence grew, I started to pick up business for technical writing, which is a little bit different, but at the same time, you're shaping... Technical writing is really about designing courses. So I'd have done some work that ended up for the European Union, designing courses for online learning. And then I also found myself coaching a sports team, which was entirely unexpected, but all, I suppose, the coaching, the mentoring, and then the sports side of it, a lot of it is mindset. Okay. So I'm very, very careful about what I do in the business, because when I talk about leadership for others and for myself too, some people come to me and when they're confused, they may be a little bit vulnerable. So I have to take responsibility for that and make sure that I'm giving them the best guidance that I possibly can, so that they come out the other side. And I have a very, very good hit rate for people who are either applying for jobs or reshaping their career or going for those promotions. The people that I've been working with have been really terrific to work with. And they've been very dedicated to what they wanted to achieve, which is also responsibility, which is also leadership. And they're out there now and they're, pucking it out, as we say, which is great. Great for them, great for the country. There's great people going into great jobs. Everybody wins, James. That's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game. Absolutely. Yeah. Like something that there was a certain line on the side of on your Instagram or somewhere, as you take people from being led to leading. So that's kind of what that's essentially what you're kind of doing with people, is taking them from that position of being led to now being leaders.
Yeah, and a lot of it, it's very, very strange, James. I don't know if it's a generational thing, but for the young lads that I work with, and it's great to see, because that I have a very nice balance between men and women. Because often we have in our minds that women are more forward thinking about these things. No, well, the lads are at it too. But for the younger generations, what's gas and what hits me is, because I do some assessments with them, and we hit something called spirituality.
Yeah.
What does spirituality mean? And if you were to rank yourself, the ranking of that for young fellas would be very, very low. Young girls, fellas. very, very low. And really, spirituality, I suppose it might sound like a bit religious, but it can be if you want to be, but it can actually be also something else. How you're finding peace with yourself, how you're learning to take a better pace in your life.
Connecting with different like powers and that kind of stuff, like in that way as well? Or?
It could be. That's a statement that I often hear. I want my power back. I hear that. I want my power back. But I suppose the way that I would interpret is really that life is fast-paced and that sometimes the unknown is out there. And rather than maybe spending time trying to figure out what the unknown is, just accepting this is where I am right now. I may not necessarily need to run off at, 100 miles an hour to the next thing. To take your time, find a bit of peace within yourself, and gently go about finding what you need to do next. So maybe to take a bit of pace out of their lives. So in what I do, and I do it with the sports team as well, a lot about the mindset. It's actually stopping the mind for a while. Stop the mind, lads. Stop racing. Settle down. Everything's okay. So some nice tools and techniques there that can prepare people as they go to perform or go into an interview or even just to take an assessment of where they are right now. And from that point, out you go. Now you're hurling. You hurl on the front foot then. And so it's kind of like bringing a lot of experience in industry, being in complicated situations and managing my way through them. You're working with people all the time. To then maybe on the other side as well, lads, okay, so we use our mind to think about this thing and then we rest our mind and we absolutely don't use our mind to beat ourselves up or give ourselves a hard time or judge ourselves harshly. If we're doing that, let's just acknowledge that. Let's find the good stuff, lads, and let's move again.
Yeah.
So it's I suppose you'd characterise it as a lot of experience and then new training on things that have helped me personally and bring them and make people aware of them and say, look, you don't need to sit for 2 hours or, doing something. And when you're doing something, be thinking something maybe not beneficial about yourself. So we can stop that.
Yeah. And what are, we'll say, like what's the most common we'll say, technique that you would give to people who are in that state of like this mind is going 90?
Yeah, I don't think there's I'm not experienced enough to know if there's a one fit answer. I don't think there is a one fit answer.
Of course, yeah, but what
do I like?
One of the most common ones that you've
so advocate. So advocate. I absolutely advocate stopping. Not retiring, not becoming lazy, not becoming lethargic, not being disinterested, none of that. But stopping for a short period of time. So we can bring a little bit more peace to our mind.
So taking a break from work, you're saying?
No, you can work away. I'm more talking about it, I suppose, to be clear about it. Some people's minds, if you're stressed or if you're uncertain, your mind can move very, very quickly, churning over the same idea. Usually in a way that's kind of critical of yourself in some way, shape or form. And finding a way then to unwind that, to slow that down, to displace those thoughts, and replace them with things that are positive, progressive and beneficial. So literally using our own human features, the own natural features we have instead of those thoughts. We use our mind for progressive thought, for figuring out complex problems. It may not be as beneficial to ruminate over an idea constantly, because like you, James, you're doing your 50k with 50 pounds, right? You're tired after it.
Yeah.
Well, if you sit down on this sofa or this chair and that sofa for 3 hours and you ruminate in the same thought, your mind is tired.
You'll probably be more tired,
It's bound to get tired. It's bound to, isn't it? So we'll be.
Yeah.
So, man, rest it. Take a couple of breaths, rest it. Because it's a very, very powerful organ and leadership, again, responsibility. We've got to use our minds well. And then a lot of the people I work with, James, are very, very highly technically qualified. Whoa. Really, really serious professionals. But it doesn't mean that they don't get nervous, they don't get anxious, they don't doubt.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that whether you're, doing the most manual task or you're doing the most high-end, technically, intellectually demanding job there can be, it doesn't mean that the person doesn't get anxious, get nervous, worry about things. And if you can kind of get to that space of, oh, actually, there's no real need to worry about that. Yeah. Which is easier said than done, actually.
Big time,
Because, you know, some people actually enjoy worrying. Quite happy, you know, sit here, look at the telly, not really see the telly, kind of worrying about stuff in here. No. If you cut down the worrying, spend half an hour worrying, cut it down for 25 minutes, and 5 minutes on serious, direct thought. Now you're hurling. And if you've got that...
If you say serious, direct thought compared to...
Focused. You're focused. Focus on the task at hand. Absolutely, with a lot of decisions that you've got to make, there's an element of risk with them. You can, you know, jog for 10 kilometres with that, working out. So now your body's tired, now your head's tired. Or, okay, let's sit here nice and quietly. Okay, I don't know the answer yet, but if I read this book, or if I do this, or if I get this qualification, or if I... Now you're hurling. Now you're taking direct action. And giving ourselves the space to do that is something that people can benefit from. Make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
So I bring that in, I've been coached myself, James, at serious stages of my career. And I don't know when I ever got out of the coaching, to be honest with you. It was all like the coaching was fulfilling a purpose, a function. The money has now changed hands, we better do this. And they'd say sometimes that coaching has kind of an effect that prolongs 6 weeks beyond the end of it. But my approach with it is, well, actually, yes, you are going to try and do this you're looking for a promotion. You want to get this job. You're not sure about what next step to take in your life. Do you go back to academic life? Do you go on to progress into a different role? But if you can work with the client on that and also give them a little tool and skill that they can bring with them for the rest of their lives. Oh, hang on, I'm worrying. I don't need to worry. Oh, no, something, so I can change that. But if something big happens, you know then you've got to take action. And you've got to think and seriously think your way out of it, because you can't glide through your life thinking that Santa Claus is going to arrive every minute, you know, throwing gifts at you. That ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you got to move.
100%.
You got to move. So they would be the basic tenets of the sports thing. Has been very interesting because I didn't see that coming at all, and I just hadn't thought about it. But when it came up along, then it was really about, okay, lads, you're going to hit the start line now. How do you feel? Just petrified, just worried. Have I done enough?
It's great.
Rather than, hang on the front foot here now, lads. On the front foot. Keep it positive, keep it upbeat. Those thoughts, have I done enough? Am I good enough? Jesus, how do I look? Are they helpful to anybody at that point? Are they?
Absolutely not.
No.
Well, not to you, like.
And why are they there? We don't know why they're there, but you can certainly, with enough lead in, you can certainly help people to just, oh, that thought's there. Now I'm going to do something else, rather than getting involved in that thought in our heads. Do something else. So that's been a huge amount of fun. For me personally, it's been just, because I don't know how we were talking about the match. How do these people hit the field? You know, they've got to turn it on for 70 minutes. They've got to. And you look at, say, Huggy Boy stood up over his first free, but a wide. How is he going back and stand over his next free? You know,
he's just able to switch.
He's got something going there. You know, he's got habit as well. He's a hugely talented hurler, no question about it. I think he's the top scorer of all time in the championship. He's up there with TJ Reid. But somehow he can step over that next ball, wipe out the point that he just missed, put the next one over the bar. You know, that's serious.
Yeah. And again, like you said, that comes back to mindset, isn't it? There's nothing physical you can do to...
Yeah, I can only assess that he has a routine and he can somehow switch into that routine. He can stop giving out to himself over the previous point. Stop giving himself a hard time, and then in some way just find that moment of zen or whatever they call it, and bang, right over the black spot.
Yeah. Do you think that's a problem with athletes, is that they always speak so negatively? Do you think that's bad, or is it actually helpful? Joe, at times you might talk to yourself negatively to kind of drive yourself on. Do you think that's a bad thing, or is it good and bad?
I'm far from an expert, but my humble opinion would be we're better off discerning, evaluating, than we are judging. Because when we judge, we either go hard or we go really, really positive. But if we can discern, we assess what happened. Now, for athletes, right? So if an athlete sits down and says, okay, how am I going to judge my last performance? You're either going to go OTT or you're going to go down here. With discerning, you're hitting it right in the middle. You assess. And you assess using language that's appropriate. We stay away from harshness. We equally stay away from over-complimenting ourselves. That's dangerous too, right? With our feet on the ground at all times. So for me, and then with the limited experience I have, that's what I'm saying, guys. Let's try to veer away from judging. Good, bad, or indifferent. Let's discern. We assess. Okay, I went out and it went this way. Right. Now, what did I learn? Okay, what can I do to address that learning? Okay. And when we're talking to ourselves in our heads, the tone is very, very important. It's like, Jesus, Daragh, who do you think you are? So, compared with, okay, Daragh, okay, we'll give that another go. See the difference?
Absolutely, yeah.
So now you've got the tone coming in as well.
Even the body language there, like you just more...
Yeah. But you know that emotion, like, you know, that's the emotion is there, and that's a very real thing as well. But if you can then, instead of that, just go, okay.
That's where the breath comes in, isn't it? Just take the breath.
Yeah,
reset.
It takes practice, it takes time, it takes being with someone who's a safe pair of hands, it takes having that connection, that rapport, that sense of trust. It can be done. And it can be done, and you can then bring that then very, very easily to do it. I mean, it's not like you have to buy a yoga mat. You don't really have to invest any much money to do it. You don't need a hall. You don't need anything. You're just yourself. You feel these thoughts coming on. I want to displace that thought. It's not beneficial to me. And then when you get to assessing, then you say, oh, yeah, okay, I need to learn that from this. I want to learn that from this. Yeah, okay, I can bring that forward now the next time. I'm going to get that right. I'm going to do that better. Let's see again, rather than we fucked that up. Fucking idiot, you fucked it up. Yeah. You know, and we're all very, very, I mean, we're all, you know, sometimes you can say, oh, sure, I fucked that up, and just kind of a bit of crack. That's fine. But sometimes we can be at that a bit too much and fucked it up.
But sometimes it starts off subtle, isn't it? It starts off with subtle, but then it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like saying where you can progressively get better, but you can also progressively get worse as well.
Yeah. And one of the things that, you know, that when I'm with the teams or whatever, is I say this is that we can often associate a higher level of performance, and even in people in their careers now, you can associate a higher level of achievement because you've got yourself so nervous that you got there. So you were so nervous that you did a whole body of work and you got the result. And so you replicated over and over, or you were hard on yourself. But you got the result. And you replicate it over and over and over again because you keep being hard on yourself because the result comes. But my view would be, well, if you got the result, it's highly likely that came down to dedication and focus. It came down to your own innate abilities. So why give yourself a hard time? Why you get anxious? Yes, there's going to be a certain amount of a higher level of energy when you get to that moment of whether it's giving a presentation, whether it's influencing a decision, whether it's hitting that line. But why bring yourself through that period of I'm going to push, and being really negative on yourself? There's no need for it. You can get there without it. So that when you're coming to do your task, you're fresh. You're mentally fresh. And remember, if you're giving out to yourself, that's pretty emotionally draining. You're emotionally fresh, you're mentally fresh, you're physically fresh. Nice job done. What's next, lads? I'm on for a cup of tea. What's next, lads? So to try and to displace those thought patterns with an action or an activity while still holding on to your innate talents, utilising the experiences you have to get that performance, whether that's an interview, whether that's going for a role, whether that's a presentation in the workplace, whether it's bringing people with you, whether it's going to compete. and then and equally for yourself. So you got to practice what you preach, right?
Big time, yeah.
Got to practice what you preach, and for yourself too.
Have you any story, let's say, of someone in a leadership role that you've worked with? How you've taken them from a tough position to a better leader?
I haven't really characterised that for myself because it just seems so natural. But I would say this about the people that I've worked with. They're very, very capable people. They're very, very highly talented people, but they actually don't like being told that. So I feel very, very careful when I'm with them, even though I am very, very impressed by who they are and how they live their lives and what they represent. And I'm very, very careful as well. When I'm working with someone, I want to be working with somebody whose ethics are going to be strong, whose values are in the right place. But the single biggest feature, I would say, James, because I was kind of thinking while I was answering your question while I was talking there, is how morale and how confidence can dip. Morale and confidence can dip. And if it's not something that we're working on, and Irish people, an awful lot of Irish people an awful lot of the people that I work with say, God, I'd hate to be like that. I'd hate to be the big-headed fella.
Okay.
And a lot of us...
It's that culture.
We kind of associate that with the lads in Hollywood or whatever that we see in the films. We associate with that. We don't want to be like that. We want to be approachable and friendly but forthright, and we want to be candid, and we want to get things done. So you're kind of like a tension between that not wanting to have that overt in-your-face confidence, but having a natural confidence in yourself that doesn't throw away the other parts of who you are. So you can be caring, and you can be affectionate, and you can be intelligent, and you can be conversational, and you can be forthright. You can be all those various parts of, what we often see in Irish life.
Yeah. So
confidence comes down. Knowing that confidence is down, it's a job now to get it back up. It's a task. Right? Just like washing the dishes, putting petrol in the car, it's a task. Okay, my confidence is down now today. I want to take the steps now to bring it back up. Morale. Confidence dips, morale comes down. Motivation to continue on the path that you're on or to change your path. So when we talk about leadership positions, we kind of might frame a picture of Micheál Martin or Joe Biden in our heads, something like that. Jimmy Barry Murphy or Poggy Boy, for example, right? But for me, if you're taking responsibility for who you are and what you're doing, and you're doing what you're doing ethically, according to a good, strong value system, you're leading.
Yes.
But those people who may present themselves very, very well, and are great fun to be around, their confidence and their morale comes down as well. So the person who may be sitting up at the top of the room, teacher, maybe a leader, for example, their morale or their confidence may be down, and it kind of might be running a bit on autopilot. There's because by dint of experience and because they're accustomed to performing at a high level, it doesn't look like there's anything unusual there.
Underneath, yeah.
Underneath it, but confidence comes down for whatever reason. A wrong word at the wrong time, a project that didn't quite go to plan, a performance that was less than what you hoped it would be. Down comes the confidence.
Maybe a couple of them knock on, yeah.
And then you get a couple of them, and next thing you know, you're kind of dragging yourself around the place like you've got one of those flus that you get over the winter where you're just like... And then when that comes down, then the morale comes down, the motivation that's the spark of life. Got to get out there, got to get my job done. Let's keep things going here, lads. That can come too. So for the leadership then, for an example for the leadership, that would be one that would resonate with me as... can very, very easily happen. And the view would be just like you have to dress your bed every morning or have your shower, whatever, it's a job you do. Okay, where's my confidence? Is it okay? Good place, let's go. I'm feeling a bit down, right? Have I got the techniques to get my confidence level back up? Yes, I have. Let's use them. Time to take out the weapons now, lads. Let's get that back up to where it belongs.
So, obviously right now, you're in the coaching, leadership, all that. I suppose what were you doing before this? Because you used to be involved in a lot of big companies.
Yeah, I was involved in the food industry, in some of the largest food companies in the world, and I was involved in some of the largest electronics companies in the world. And my role was in procurement, so I was negotiating a lot of deals. So to buy items, to buy products, to buy packaging, to buy raw materials.
And these were big deals now.
Yeah, they'd have been on a significant scale. So, I mean, part of that role then obviously is it's not as transactional of going into the shop and buying a bar of chocolate.
Yeah.
You're spending sums of money, so there has to be a rapport there, a relationship, so that if something goes wrong, I mean, what's going on here? And then there's the legalities around it.
Yes.
So that piece of, if anything would go substantially wrong, that there would be legal recourse and the best interests of the organisations would be protected. So there'd be a legal element to it, there'd be a relationship element to it, and there'd be a financial element to it. And those roles were very much related to metrics, performance. You got to perform every month. So, Daragh, this month this year you've got $100 million to spend, and we want to see a random number, 5% savings. So, 100 million, 10% is 10 million, so I got to find $5 million in savings. I got to find that. And by the way, I got to make sure there's enough items coming into the factory that can be converted into the own finished product. So I would have worked for brands or been associated with brands like Lego and Sony Ericsson, Alcatel. Some of these names are now being supplanted by the iPhone and by Samsung and so forth.
Yeah.
And food products as well, but pretty big products in big companies where there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of expectation, and there's teams then to lead as well. There's people then that are working for me that you want to have to go home every evening, but while we're there, we need to be pucking it out.
Yeah.
So I did that for, I suppose, over a period of 20 years. I got promoted into different positions. I changed industry once or twice according to the needs I had at the time or location. Or actually, the crash in 2008, I was made redundant that year, so it was like a lot of people were. But it was enjoyable for an awful lot of it, James. I'd be very passionate, especially when I was in the food industry. You get to learn an awful lot about food production, the farmers, the importance of the farming community, the importance of the reputation that Ireland has as a food producing nation, unblemished. We've good food in this country. We take it for granted.
So true.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to have the food that we have. Look, I've travelled all over the world on more than once, and notwithstanding the cultural difference between countries, you can go into any shop here in this country and buy, and that's safe. It's safe. Yeah. Now, it might be the most nutritious thing every week if you're, heaping up on the sugar or whatever. Like, I love chocolate and so forth, which is grand. But, you want your vegetables, you want your dairy to be good. You want your bread to be good.
All the meat, everything in.
All the meat. You want that to be, you don't even think twice, just put it in the trolley, off the door. Don't think twice about it. Fantastic.
Just have full trust that it's going to be 100%.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And long may that continue for Ireland. Not every country has that. Not every country has that reputation. So that would be probably, apart from all of the different numbers we'd have achieved over time and the different relationships, which are great that I still have some of them. My friends are still involved in those industries, which is great. That would be one of the big things, food.
Yeah.
And how food is produced, the role of the farmer, the role of the processor, and that we can walk into any shop in this country and put a steak, a litre of milk, pound of butter, bag of carrots into the trolley. The only thing we're thinking about is the price. Much does it cost? We don't even think about the quality of it. We know the quality is there.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's, from those 20 years, so that's kind of where you've derived a lot of your experience and knowledge that you're passing on.
Yeah.
I suppose within those 20 years now, you've worked you said you worked with teams, leading teams, got promotions. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during those times?
I've had both ends of the scale. First of all, James, I've promotions and I've been laid off.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So I've had both ends of the scales. I've experienced teams being downside. I've experienced teams being upsized, as I say, growing and reducing. And through leading teams and the experiences then The experience, I suppose, that I would most have is how, for the vast majority of people, they want to do their best in the workplace. They really want to do their best. And they're willing enough to do an awful lot to do their best. But within that, in their doing their best, if things don't go their way, or the outcome doesn't come as quickly as they might want, it can be a setback. And when you're really trying your hardest, but you're working in an organisation, and you're not the only decision maker, and only one of potentially many, if the decision doesn't go your way, it can be a setback. And now you've made a significant effort, and it wasn't that there was anything wrong maybe with your proposal or your thinking, but it was not chosen as the way to go. Be hard on people, and so keeping people motivated. Although I didn't have the approach I have now, I suppose I always had that style of, I was very rarely cross. I always had the style of, come on lads, we can do it, come on, let's go. We can do this, and to be there when the big decisions were coming, and as the bullet came, to stand up in front of it.
Yeah.
Because I often in a job I'd have enough in my bank to take a bullet, take a hit. I'd take the hit, and then we'd figure out what went wrong, and we'd keep going then again. So they're very, very different relationships to kind of like friendships or acquaintanceships, because effectively, you're there together for from 9 to 5. You're the leader and you're responsible for their well-being, but you're also responsible in a sense for their performance, that you've given them the right environment in which to perform. And some people are very, very wanted conversations every day. I'm doing this today, Daragh. How would I do it? And I kind of back now, we went to this yesterday, and we go through it again, and it would happen the third day and the fourth day. So they wanted that. Now, there was other people that you'd have, and you'd meet him on a Monday morning. Now, and went after this week, Daragh, and just let's grand. And so, see you Friday. If anything comes up, I'll let you know. And then invariably something would come up, and then we just get around the campfire and try and figure that out. But so the very different styles in people when they're coming to work, and very, very different needs. Some people wanted to be very close to the decision maker. Other people wanted to, off they go. And if you've trust in them, go and get it done. Go and get it done. You know the rules, you know the process, make it happen. So actually finding that fine line, because as the figurehead, as the person that's ultimately responsible, you've got to divvy out your time. So time management is actually quite important. Probably one of the things that I look back on my life with a little bit of, I would say, I'll frame it in a different way and say, just put an awful lot of time into it. Missed a few matches. Missed a few matches for work. And I could have been more effective with my time management every now and again. But then there's a lot of people that are like me. You're in something, you're in. So it's not a failing, like you're in. Which is something that I suppose that I've learned from as well, which also goes back to that thing, James. Break. Okay? I don't need to stop. I'm not in a 100-metre sprint to heaven here. Smell the roses every now and again. Everything's going to be okay. Stick, you have your plan. You have a certain number of tools. The tools you don't have, you go and find. Get that support, get that education, get that coaching or mentoring or whatever it is. Drive on again, because this is what I want to get. But the most memories I have, some of the memories that are being treated poorly too. It can happen. People get angry. It can happen. People care too. And when they care and it doesn't go away, people get angry. It's normal. So that'd be there too. You get the gamut. You get the gamut of experiences, just like I suppose every day we get a gamut of experiences, or every week we do. I'd remember those though.
Yeah. Always stick with you like.
Yeah, and that's why your mindset is so important. Your mindset is so, so important, because that person was just going through a tough time at the time. That was the tool he had, or she had. And I may have been particularly sensitive. I may not have said the right thing or whatever at the time. But yeah, but you've got to kill that voice. It's gone now. You know,
it's all how you interpret that event, isn't it?
That's right. That's right, yeah. That's right. So, but we are so lucky in this country to have so many good companies offering so much good work. During our father's time, James, our grandfather's time, both playing out.
Yeah.
Out, you know.
If there's no work out in the field,
there's no work. If there's no work, you know, it limits society really.
Yeah. But then again, it goes back to showing how privileged we are here. You mentioned how privileged we are with the quality of food. Same as you said, work like.
Yeah, we're going through a good period. We're at maximum employment. We have been for some period of time. Looks like it's going to continue. We see inflation rates coming down now in Europe. Italy, France, Germany may be coming out of recession. Suggest things may continue, though it's very, very volatile. There's a tricky enough situation, more than a tricky situation. We've got Palestine, got Ukraine, got a couple other things going on in the world. It's a bit of a tinderbox in that regard out there. But from the popular for people in Ireland, keep at it. Let's keep going, you know. Just work there and thank you for it.
Yeah. As like, what are a couple of key lessons you would say you learned during that time now, or even you look back now? Like you mentioned, there's a couple of things you would have liked to have changed, but like you would have liked to gone to more matches. But is there things you look back on?
Enough now, but you know what I mean? Yeah. There was an extra hour in the day that I could have every now and again. Yeah.
But even in terms of like decisions you made, or you know, things, is there, you look back and be like, I'd have done that differently now, or?
No question. And I've been very, very fortunate. And other people have at the same level of fortune or don't. That somehow, I was instilled with a set of values at a very, very young age. And we all are. And I'm not here to judge whether people's values are good, bad, or indifferent. But I was given an ethical value, a value of ethics. So I'm looking after an awful lot of money here, James, in a previous life. Ethics are important. How I do things, how I dispense that money on behalf of the company. And there's a lot of pressure on to do things quicker or in a different way or with different people. So ethics really stood by me. Never got into trouble, never even got close to being in trouble. Know the responsibility. So I had that. I wouldn't have identified it as ethics at the time. I would have seen it as natural.
I get you.
Right? So I wasn't as tuned into them. And there were other values that came to the fore in tricky situations that I didn't recognise as values at the time, but meant that I generally acted rather than reacted. When you're reacting, you really want to have your feet in the ground.
Yes.
I'm not great. I'm better with a bit of time to think things through. I'm not a brilliant, spontaneous thinker. Some people are brilliant and spontaneous and move like that. Like Hitler. I'm not. I need time. So I was very, very fortunate that I had very strong values that when the pressure came on and I'd limited the amount of time that they came to the fore, even though at the time I didn't recognise them as values. And they were very, very important to me. And they continue. Now I've got a better definition and a better frame of them.
Better understanding
of what was happening. Then they're even better. And they're one of the things as well that I look at for the leaders, your values. Why are you doing this, lads? Remind me of why? Is it the money? Is it to make a difference? Is it sport? Is it to help? Is it to guide? Is it to progress? Is it because there's just now 8 weeks holidays a year in a fancy car? Why are you doing this, lads?
Like, what would you say some of the main values are for leadership?
So there are no values that are wrong. That's the first thing.
Of course, yeah.
And who am I to judge whose values are right or wrong? And really, it's not for me when I'm with somebody to in any way assess on them. But what I can do is draw their attention to them, because our values change. The prioritization of our values change over time. We may be young and want to start a family. We may be getting on our lives. We may be middle-aged. We have different values, priorities on our values. We may have security or love or kindness or affection, or we may have integrity. we may have ethics, they change and evolve according to the circumstance. But they're generally just usually 3 or 4 that are there the whole time. I haven't done a study on this, so this is only experience-based. And they kind of move, security being another big value, kind of move up and down in the priority list according to the stage of your life. And I expect that we get our values from the people that are around us at a young age, that help form and shape us. Yeah. I don't know, maybe, I don't know how to answer the question as to, can you substantially change them? I don't know. But what I can do with my friends is draw their attention to them. Just, like when I was back then, I was motoring without knowing why. Because I hadn't landed on that. I haven't had time to be actually framing the context at the time. And say, actually, these are your values. These are the values that are important to you now. And sometimes people say, oh. And maybe they can cause them to pause the thought. But again, I'm very, very fortunate with the people that I work with, the people that have contacted me and said, can we do this better work together? We are kind of similar in our values. Kind of, even though, we come from different parts of the country, we're of different generations, different sects, all these things. Somehow we seem to have kind of this, I don't know whether that's quirk or what that is. But
so you also think people with similar values almost kind of drawn to each other almost?
I don't know, James. It may be entirely coincidence, and maybe I don't have enough of a pool of people yet to come up. Maybe it's irresponsible of me to say that. Maybe I haven't actually got, maybe you need 1 million people to create a data point for that. And then say it, rather than dozens of people, shall we say.
Yeah.
So, but maybe it's just something I've noticed, that's all. But I'm not putting any great weight on it. Because it's not for me. When you're a coach, it's not for you to judge. It's a no-no.
So
don't judge.
It's your role to guide, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it's you're there, I suppose, with your hand on your client's shoulder. And if they want, and they'll turn around and you can talk to different things and look at options. When I put the mentoring thing on it then with as well, because that then allows me to bring in the experience. Oh, hang on a minute, is this your CV? Right. Here's what I'm going to do here now, hang on. And we can work on that, make that really pristine. And then we're doing applications, or we're doing how we actually communicate. We also do a very nice program on personality styles. So you and I have 2 different personality styles. So if we went working together, how would we get on? Because there'll be certain things that would ring your bell, and there'll be certain things that would ring my bell. And sometimes dissonance or people can jar with each other because they're not as familiar. They think that just because you're friendly means you're going to get on. Not necessarily in the workplace, because there you got to make decisions. There you got to influence. There you've got to be accountable. So having an appreciation of how people tick allows you then to accommodate them, and allows you then to communicate and serve their needs while serving your own. And that can be a big help to people as well, because ultimately, people come for career coaching because they care about their career.
Yeah,
they want it to be better. So you can just open their eyes up a little bit into ways how you can make relationships work better, have them more authentic, more focused, while keeping a very strong level of self-assurance, confidence, morale, self-assurance. I'm self-assured. I'm open to learning, by the way. I'll take that on when I'm ready. But for now, I'm self-assured on the front foot.
So you're always thinking, you're always looking at things from a positive perspective, always thinking, what can you do, instead of looking at the negative and looking back.
Yeah.
You seem to be always in that mindset of all right, that's happened, what can we do now, what can we do to move forward?
Now, and a fine line between being positive and misleading, right? Nobody gets misled, right? But that's just reckless. To mislead somebody is reckless. And I occasionally say, I'm sorry, I don't know. Now, I might have an opinion, but maybe to cast that opinion might mislead. Okay. So be very, very careful, because if people are coming and they're handing over their hard-earned cash to you, that absolutely there's a role for being positive. But there's no point thinking we live in cloud cuckoo land either. It's not all lollipops and candy floss here. You know, there's different stages of our lives, But I suppose from a positive point of view, it would be that sense of can-do attitude, and absolutely recognising, absolutely with vehemence recognising that there is very little role for being negative about yourself. Very little role for that in your life. Very, very little role for that in your life. And even if you're inclined that way, that at least at some point you can bring the stop point closer. So if you're hard on yourself for 5 minutes today, well, I'm going to be hard on myself for 4 minutes tomorrow, or next month it's got to be 4 minutes. Well, that's an improvement, right? Because now you've got a minute of free time in your head to either rest or use it for constructive thought. And a lot of this actually, James, when you use the word positive, has been espoused both philosophically and spiritually through religion for generations and generations, but we forget. We just forget. So a lot of those things we're doing now have been around for donkey's years. Really, really donkey's years. Our mind is for thought. The right kind of thought. It's not there as a weapon to shoot yourself with, to give yourself a hard time with. It's not what it's there for. It's there for creative thought, creativity. It's there for compassion. It's there for empathy. It's there for innovation, right? Because nobody's standing still here. Nobody's standing still. You're innovating all the time. James Crowley comes up in the morning, busts the key in the car, drives the car. I'm going to do this today. He's driving his car and I said, what? Do you know what? I could do that. We think about that for a minute. Yeah, that makes sense. Now your mind's working properly. Off he goes. Might work out the way he expected, but he's approached it the right way. James Crowley's driving a car and he's, this sucks, this is never going to work. This will ever learn. Where's that going? And then you get your good idea. Right, so the good idea still may come. Why kick yourself?
Yeah, why waste that time?
Why waste your time? So positive, but not misleading yourself. Not, oh, geez, I feel great, I'm really good, and if I close my eyes and dream that I have $1 million next year, I would have it. I'm not with that kind of thought. You may get lucky and pick up. It may happen. Well done if it does. You may win the lotto. Well done. But not on a. If it would happen to you or me, James, it would have to happen for everybody. Do you see? So positive, but being realistic. Innovation, compassion, empathy, wisdom, being creative. That's a positive mindset, in my opinion.
And this is a very broad question, and it is something that takes a while and takes a lot of work. But cultivating that now, what's one of the, let's say someone they know they're in that state of just constantly giving out to themselves, constantly in that negative frame. What are a couple of steps? What's the first few steps people generally should take to kind of start cultivating that?
It's way too facile to say stop. Because unbeknownst to ourselves, we could actually be enjoying it. We might not know another way.
Oh, that's so true what you say, yeah.
We just might know, James.
This is what they've always known. That's
Correct.
what they've grown accustomed to.
It's like a fella taking a free. He's standing over the ball and his feet from the wrong place, he's got to go wide. Keeps going wide, but no one else to take the free, so he keeps doing it. Someone comes along and says, if you move your feet over this way and you put your shoulder facing the post, the ball's going to go over the bar. You hit that pure, it's going over the bar. Nobody told me. There was no deliberate, there's nothing wrong with the word. Nobody told me. So, and even very, very subtly, we can get into that. We can actually almost relish finding that moment where we can get into that devolved state of thought. I used to jog the roads here, James. And the best part of it wasn't the exercise. The best part is actually spending the time thinking. I wasn't thinking. The benefit was the jog, the fresh air. I didn't notice any of it. I go up the road here, up the Seven Crosses, up Kildara, back around and in the Key Road. What would I remember of it? Would I remember the leaves, seeing the leaves, the ditches, the water? Don't know then. No. So, you come home and you feel great. You kind of feel great. Geez, that was great. Do that again. Well, but I never gave your mind to rest. I didn't know any different and didn't know any better. Who would ever ask me that question? And would I give any credence to the person who was asking the question? Would I give any authority? No. That's stuff for hippies. You know, that's for the lads back in East Clare who were living above the sticks. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a merit to it. There's a merit to it, hand in hand with taking responsibility and leadership for yourself, so that you give yourself the break, so that you allow yourself to be creative and innovative, that you find the solutions. You may not have all the answers yourself, but I pick up the phone to my buddy. He might know the answer. Or my ma might know the answer. Or my aunt or some fella I haven't met in 20 years. I pick up the phone to him. He's in that game. And they pick up the phone. Oh, Jesus, James, long time no see. Ah, yeah, no problem. Come in to shout. Do you know? Or you go into the library and you get a book. You go online and read a course. I have blogs there on my website. So I'm right in very simple things.
Coaching.
Daragh.com.
Daragh.com. And
there's just blogs there about different experiences intended to be in very, very simple languages. So stopping in itself, so I can't say just stop. So the strongest part of it, because I got very interested in meditation in the last few years. But I suppose the breakthrough for me, or the thing that made most sense to me, is because we like to be doing something. And if you're involved in deep patterns of thought, which has kind of got an edge to it, we kind of like to do something else. It's almost better, okay, Daragh, clear your mind, keep your mind. But with these techniques, you do something instead of, Jesus, my mind isn't clear. Now you do something along with it. So you're replacing the action of thought with a different action that is in effect in a sensation. Mm-hmm. And while you're doing it, when we're doing the coaching together, what we're doing is you're ultimately focused on your own end game. So it's not a standalone exercise. It's going hand in hand with making progress on your career, on your leadership style, on your sporting performance. That's where it goes. And then for people who are orientated towards action and taking action, which is a great way to be, by the way, that resonates. Now it resonates. So you can't say stop. There's no point saying stop to somebody, because then it's kind of dictatorial. I know better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Shit, no one cares. If you're there, the thing is to notice it. The thing is to wonder about the benefit. And then the thing is then to look to find a way to actually displace that pattern with doing something else that is healthier, more beneficial, and it's actually very, very cost effective, because you don't need yoga mats. You don't need to be sitting in the corner of the room. You can do this. I do it now. That's how I do it now. Just keep at it, and it's your own physical sensations. The big thing is actually noticing it. Just notice it. Wonder. Am I being hard on myself? Unduly hard on myself? Have I taken myself to the woodshed? I think they say that in the Hollywood movies. You took them to the woodshed. No. Get out of the woodshed, lads and ladies. Get out of the woodshed.
That's a nice way of putting it. Get out of the woodshed, yeah. Because that's a lot of people are. They are in that woodshed, like, and
perfectly normal people.
They don't realise that they're there, yeah.
Perfectly normal people, yeah. Perfectly ordinary people, and do it for, something that might have happened in the past that led them to thinking that doing it over and over again was part of the method of success or achievement, and it's not the most sustainable way to use your mind, really. There are other options, let's put it that way. There are other options that you can take. I hope that isn't being... I'm really trying to be not dictatorial in it, to be very... Everybody is different kind of thing.
Understanding, yeah.
Nobody's right, nobody's better than anybody else. That's what I hope is coming across, that's the spirit of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have no solution. I haven't got the solutions to life's mystery, or this, the fifth secret of Fatima, or whatever. I don't have a stuff here. I'm just a Clare man.
He's a banner man living in Cork.
For my pleasure.
There you go. And I suppose this isn't even a question, is it? Best banner hurler of all time?
My favourite is Colin Lynch, because he was just an animal.
Colin Lynch, okay.
Colin Lynch. He might be before your time, James.
I recognise the name, yeah, but I haven't watched him play.
He was a tough man. He was a tough man. But of the lads now, I mean, Tony Kelly's has to be Tony magic, right? But Peter Duggan, it was great on Sunday. He was great against Limerick, and Shano's a beauty in there. Hard to mark Shano.
That's it, yeah. When he's on his game, there's no beating him. Like,
But I mean, all of the team, for us now as supporters, there's so many ups and downs with them. They're compelling watching. I mean, they can be dreadful for 5 minutes and then just magic for 5 minutes. So, and they're kind of not very scientific team. You know the way some teams are very scientific with this hand pass stuff. Let the ball in, lads. Let the ball into the forwards.
let it fly in.
Do the work, lads. Get to work. So, Tony Kelly is a very, very special hurler. He's injured at the minute. Hopefully we'll be in the championship long enough for him to come back.
Yeah.
Never know, Clare, boy. We could be gone the next day.
That's it, sure. You never know the way things are going now at the moment, like.
No, you never know.
That's it. And outside the banner, who's a hurler now? We'll say current now. Who's a current hurler outside the banner now that you really admire? You think is probably the one of the best?
Well, I for the last 5 years, there's 2 lads playing for Tipperary, 2 McGraths. There's Noel and there's John, and they play in there around midfield kind of thing, a centre forward. And to watch those lads use the ball, like they're stick men, they're serious hurlers. There's a fella playing corner back for Tip as well, and they're all coming to the end now. Carl Barrett is his name, and you would not go down a dark alley if he was there. And he is one tough cornerback, but he gets away with it. And just to go to a match, and Clare have played Tip, and I would spend a lot portion of the match just watching this fella in action. He's pulling late, he's not getting caught, he's digging the ball of the hurley in, he's pulling back, but when the ball bounces in front of him, he's out in front of his man, and he's gone. And I love that about a cornerback. The cornerback that comes out in front of their man is gone. Today, I suppose the hurlers outside of Clare, that I would really, there's a lot of them that I enjoy to watch. I always had a soft spot for Daragh Fitz.
Okay.
Don't know why. He got 2 points the last day. Maybe it's the way that he moves, and he's got a very, very good strike in him. There's more in him too. I like Daragh Fitz. I like Coleman, the Blarney fella. And you know, the very good game the last day too, for a while was taken off, was Barrett. Another Blarney man, Shane Barrett. He caused Clare an awful lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So they're Joyce as well. Actually, the fellow who got sent off is a very, very good hurler.
Sean O'Donoghue, yeah.
He's a very, very good cornerback.
Yeah, one of those cornerbacks.
One of those cornerbacks. He's up to something the whole time, you know, and he's out in front of his man. Do you know? I love a cornerback that get out, attack the ball, drive up the field, you know. So, but there's been many. I mean, the brilliant Cork hurler, Jimmy Barry, Kevin Hennessy, Tony Fenton, Jar Cunningham, Walsh. I mean, these guys are off the charts.
Shefflin, all these lads, like, yeah.
Shawnee Leary, the other Cork. These lads are off the charts hurlers. I mean, they were magic. Just as a kid, like watching those Cork teams, you're kind of like, just magic. You know, brilliant hurlers. And Cork, the championship needs Cork, and needs Cork to come to the fore again. 20 years now, nearly. Too long.
Too long.
It's too long, you know. So there's work to be done, and Cork will get on with it. They'll be back. You know, I know it feels like a long road for you at the minute, and it feels like a very long road actually at the minute, but the hurling championship in Ireland needs a stronger Cork team. There's no question about it.
100%.
Well, it doesn't
Cork team that's there.
Yeah, I mean, Cork is a hurling county. Size of the county, the amount of hurlers that are here, the strong clubs, you know, it'll come. It doesn't feel like it at the minute, James, but I don't know when, but it will come.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later, I hope. But not at Clare's expense, I hope, when it comes to Limerick's expense.
This was kind of how I finish most episodes now is, do you have one last piece of advice for people who are watching, or one little thing that you've learned that you want to share before we finish up?
I suppose that we can often be a bit kinder to ourselves, and there's no harm in that whatsoever. So it wouldn't be advice, more of a point of view, I suppose. That would be my point of view, to be kinder to yourself. But if you inform all your values as well, that can be really really handy, and it can just give you that nice peace in your mind. You know, to have peace in your mind, and then to push on and get what you want to get, and do what you need to do, perform in the way that you want to perform. I think that's a natural thing for people to do, to want to do. You know, well, we don't have to have a gold medal at the end of it. You don't need to have a gold medal. If you're doing things the right way for yourself, you're giving yourself a break when you need to give yourself a break, and you're being nice to yourself and kind to yourself, and you're dealing with adversity well. You deal with the twists and turns well, and you keep them in your stride, keep your feet on the ground. I think that's a reasonable thing to do, isn't it?
That is your gold medal, isn't it? That's the journey. Like Kobe Bryant, very, very popular basketballer who passed, but like something he said is like, it's not the destination is the dream. It's the journey to the destination that's what the dream is. You know, going through all the adversity, overcoming it, you know, going through all the challenges, putting in the hard work, getting it done. That's the dream, not the actual destination. And it's and that's what you said. That's kind of what you said. You know, it's enjoying that journey, and that's your gold medal. Like
you know, James, when it comes to conversations about your mindset, the story goes back millennia. Man's quest. This is man, and I mean man in a generic sense. Man, you know, all the whoever, everybody's quest, in some sense, is that peace of mind, that sense of nobility, that sense of strength, that sense of compassion and empathy. And the sense of enjoyment that comes, because let's face it, you gotta have the crack, right?
Gotta have the crack.
You gotta have the crack.
Keep hurling.
Keep the ball poked out. That's going back millennia, but it gets diluted a lot. It got diluted a lot through the years. Commercialism and capitalism, nothing wrong with them, but they came into the fore. They came into play, and people, and then the message got contorted a little bit, and then the people who were delivering the message were found to be a little bit corrupt sometimes, and then people's trust was lost in the message. So that's probably one of the biggest responsibilities, and when you have as a leader, that people will give you their trust. That trust is important.
Yeah, and you're respectful, fulfill that trust.
Absolutely, and for those that are your viewers and your audience, James, I wouldn't be giving advice, but just if you're going through a difficult time, or tough time, recognise it. Be gentle with yourself. On you go. Keep the confidence up, keep the morale up, keep the ball poked out.
Keep the ball poked out. Daragh, thank you very much.
Thanks a million, James. Thanks for coming over, bye. Appreciate it.